Hey everybody, Rob here. It's time for a few stories from the ProRevenge archives. First one, thieving dog screwed me out of $4,000. I got it back and cost the dogs another $700,000. Let's jump right in. Please hit that subscribe button and maybe one day we can be as big as that r/guy.
Don't push your luck.
A few months ago, a company, Low Dogs LLC, was required to sell some pretty rare stuff. Low Dogs was very cozy with another company, Morality Limited, that wanted the stuff, but the industry we're in is highly regulated, and so Low Dogs couldn't just sell straight to Morality. So, to be seen to comply with the regulations, Low Dogs offered to sell the stuff to some other people, me being one. They said that if we wanted the stuff, it was ours. And if we didn't, well, then they would sell it to Morality Limited. In that way, they would comply with the regulations prohibiting direct sale to their buddies at Morality Limited. So I get Low Dog's offer, and you know what? It's actually very well priced. I say thanks, here's my check, and await my stuff. Tick tock, no stuff. Call Low Dogs up and say, yo, where's that stuff I bought? And they say, oh, we sold it all to Morality for the same price we offered it to you. Here's your check back. And so I say, nuh-uh, and I sue them for a few grand. That being the profit I didn't make by reselling the stuff they didn't deliver. Now, Low Dogs could have sorted me out pretty easily, settle my claim, move on. For reasons known only to them, they didn't. They chose the double dare option, engaged high-flying attorneys, and started fighting hard over a few grand. Old fisting donkeys don't bend over when someone tries to screw him, so all that did was provide further encouragement. I spent several weeks and several $1,000s putting together a detailed dossier on everything that had happened, then sent it to Low Dogs and said, we can do this the easy way, sort this out, or the hard way, I'll provide this to the regulators. They said, you'll never bother, go away. Okay kids, whatever you think. So off it went to the regulator. I've really simplified this story above. It's actually a pretty complex situation, hence the huge work involved in explaining everything to the regulator, which Low Dogs thought I wouldn't trouble myself with. The regulator took a look at my dossier and came down on them hard. On my estimate, Low Dog spent maybe $100K on attorneys in fighting the regulator, only to lose the argument. The regulator forced Morality Limited to give the stuff back to Low Dogs, who then had to give it to me and everyone else who'd placed orders but been denied at the original low price. The profit that Morality Limited missed out on was something like $600K. And as it happened, Morality Limited had contrived the original scheme with Low Dogs, and they were planning to share the profits. Too bad, so sad. Amusing enough, but there's a kicker. Turns out the stock controller at Low Dogs, who was an a-hole to me when I complained that I hadn't received my order, hadn't actually passed everything onto Morality. He'd kept some for himself and sold it for a neat profit of about $20,000. When the regulator was investigating what had happened, that fact came out, and Low Dogs weren't happy. They were so unhappy, in fact, that the stock controller was promptly sacked from his $200,000 per annum job. Unlucky. This is a great story of revenge. It's not unnecessarily mean-spirited, it's just not letting yourself be screwed and then holding people accountable. On to our next story. Employer reneged on compensation agreement, left and milked them for $35,000 in 2 months. Let's jump right in. Throwaway for soon-to-be obvious reasons. I've generalized every aspect of this story to keep it anonymous. I hope you enjoy reading about my experience. I am not willing to offer any more information or evidence for this, so just take it for what it is. Also, the point of this story isn't to brag over money, but to share my revenge plan and execution. Anyways, I work in software development using very in-demand and complex frameworks and tools. The average salary doing what I do in my area is around $110,000 a year for a relatively simple low-level job. By this, I mean a position where the employee does not have major responsibilities, works as part of a much larger team, etc. I worked on-site and then remotely as a contractor for 3 years for a company, hereinafter named The Company, while I was at university. As a contractor, I was the only developer in the entire company of a few hundred people and was solely responsible for all systems, development, testing, etc. This includes databases, web servers, and much more. This seems like a lot, it was, but I had full control of my environment and autonomy. I worked on the software projects that I wanted to, and I felt would have the most impact. During that period of remote work, upper management was changed. After I completed my schooling, I received an offer from the company for $70,000. I knew this was below what I should be making, but I also realized the following. I had full autonomy in my environment. I had some gaps in my skill set. By staying in this environment, I could fill in those gaps and very easily prepare to transition to another higher paying job. So, new management and I reached an agreement. I would accept a salary of $72K, and then, after 6 months' time, we would meet to go over my salary, and it would be increased by at least 15%. This was included in my offer letter, which both new management and I signed. Fast forward to 6 months later, I have now filled every gap in my skill set and expanded on it to increase my skill set even more. The 6-month marker rolls by and nothing happens. I send new management repeated meeting requests and they are ignored. 3 weeks into the 6th month, I go to HR and raise the issue. HR turns ghost white and makes the meeting happen. That afternoon, new management comes into my office and offers me a 1% raise. Yes, that is correct. 1%. I kept my cool though, and reminded them that I was guaranteed at least 15% due per our agreement. New management completely denied making this agreement and repeated their previous offer. I brought out my offer letter with both of our signatures on it, and they started backpedaling. They said they would talk and get back to me. I made it very clear that if I did not receive the agreed upon amount, we would have a problem. Fast forward to 2 weeks later, new management invites me into their offices. I am then offered a 6% raise. They try to make excuses about budget restrictions, fairness to other employees, whatever they could think of. I knew then I had these options. 1. Quit. 2. Demand the 15%, possibly get it, but severely damage my relationship with new management. 3. Accept the 6% raise and maintain a strong positive relationship with new management, allowing me to blindside them later. The wheels in my mind spinning, I agreed to the 6% raise. At that moment, I decided what I would do. I would take the raise, use the remainder of my time there to look for another job, and leave. A few months passes though, and my plan expanded. I began implementing the most cutting-edge technology, using the most modern frameworks, upgrading everything I could as aggressively as I could. Of course, this provided immense benefit to the company. That was the plan. I entrenched myself in every system in every way possible, increased the skill floor for my position as high as I could get it, and left. 4 months after I accepted the raise of 6%, I accepted an offer for a salary of $130K at another company. I put my 2 weeks notice in at the company and all hell broke loose. New management knew they had messed up and they were completely blindsided that I was unhappy with my position. Since I had graciously accepted the 6%, they thought they were off the hook. With me, I took all knowledge of almost every one of their systems. New management freaked out, so I did what any capitalist would do. I offered to come back as a remote contractor for $200 an hour. They had no choice but to accept, so over the last few months, I have been charging them $200 an hour to do the exact same thing that I was previously doing for significantly less. Now, instead of being out a few $1,000s a year due to my raise, they've been outed over $35,000 in a few months, with no end in sight. I even hired one of my good friends to help fill the hours. The money is nice, but the look on new management's faces when this played out was priceless. It was the sweetest revenge of my life. So if OP continued contracting at 40 hours a week, that would be $416,000 per year. Holy. He says he's not working that much though and only as needed about 5 to 10 hours per week. Still makes for a nice extra paycheck though. On to our last story. Never screw over your HVAC technician. Let's jump right in. This is not my story. It's been a while since I've heard the story, but I'll try my best to get the details correct. I went to a local community college to get my HVAC certifications, and the instructor was an old school, gruff, blue-collar worker type guy. He owned his own HVAC company and would teach at nights after work. Dude was working like 60 to 70 hours a week and had been doing this since the early 90s when an older guy I knew in the industry was taking classes from him. Anyways, on to the story. Instructor will be referred to as Joe. His company and my school are located in Orange County, California, an area with a lot of wealth. He lived out in Riverside, so housing wouldn't be as expensive, so it's a bit of a drive for him to get to his work territory. One Sunday, he received a call from a woman panicking. Her AC unit in her wine cellar has stopped working and needs Joe to come fix it ASAP because wine needs to be in a consistent temperature. I say wine cellar because down here we don't have basements in Southern California. Joe explains that since it's Sunday, it will be a triple charge since he doesn't get to relax much working so many hours every week. She agrees as her wine collection is worth 1,000 times the cost of fixing the AC unit. Joe rushes 2 hours out to her house in Newport Beach and she shows him to her wine cellar, which is a massive room with rows and rows of expensive bottles of wine on racks. He gets to work, checking everything on the AC unit. He found it wasn't getting power, and after tracking down the circuit, he found that the GFI had popped. You probably have one in your bathroom by your sink and has a button to reset it if it pops. He resets the GFI and the AC unit kicks back on. Temperature hadn't deviated too much from the set point, and all things are looking good. Joe explains to the lady what had happened and to be careful with liquids around the outlet, since if it trips, it'll take out the AC unit. He then tells her, since there was no work needed, she'll just have to pay the trip charge, which is $450 since it's Sunday. The customer, who we'll call Judy, was not happy about this. All you did was push a button. I could have done this myself. I'm not paying. Her and Joe go back and forth about her paying, and eventually he leaves without payment. Joe isn't normally one to roll over, but he's tired and wants to go relax on his day off. He drives home and relaxes, trying to put her out of his mind. That would be a crappy revenge story if she didn't call back a few months later, again on a weekend. Help, my AC isn't working again. I tried pushing the button like you did, and it's still not working, and I don't know how to fix it. You need to come out and fix it. Joe reminds her that last time she called, she stiffed him, and that he would not do business with her. She begged and pleaded that she'll pay for both trips in full, and this and that. After some convincing, Joe told her he would get to her as soon as possible, but since he is in Riverside, it will take at least an hour, maybe 2, to get to her. She says fine, and they hang up. Instead of getting into his truck, Joe cracks open a cold beer and waits. 2 hours go by and Judy calls Joe back. Are you close? It's getting warm in the room. This is an emergency. Joe replies, I'm almost there. Traffic was pretty bad, but I should be there in 30 minutes. 30 more minutes goes by and she calls back. Are you close? Joe, yes, I'm just around the corner. Give me a few more minutes. By this time, it's getting pretty late, close to 7 p.m., and she calls back one more time. Where are you? Joe responds, Riverside. That was not what Judy wanted to hear. What do you mean you're in Riverside? You said you'd be here. My wine is gonna be ruined. And then Joe hits her with, you should never screw over people you rely on, and hung up on her. Most AC places don't take calls on the weekends or nights, so we assume she lost her collection, but can't know for sure. Anyways, point of the story is GFIs really only belong in the bathrooms, and don't screw over people you need. The comment section on this story is full of golden justifications for charging what people do. A couple of them are, it's $20 for the parts and $300 for knowing how to fix it, or hitting a chalk mark with a hammer, $1. Knowing where to put the chalk mark, $999. I'd like to thank all 3 OPs for posting their stories to the ProRevenge subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.